Guess who's back? Girl, please. I'm Daisha,
And I'm Tiara.
doing our black jobs and making sure our booths, that's you, are up to speed and got their tea on all things fashion and all things in between. We created this space to kiki with y'all, okay? And to talk about what matters most to us and to share our personal friend convos with y'all. So come on over.
Come on in the room. So I'm a fashion and personal stylist, in case y'all didn't know. And Deja is, really just a media maven. Basically, all things partnerships and making things shake. Okay. She is the fashion Olivia Pope. But we have thoughts and concerns. And so each week we're going to dissect those with you. And the ultimate goal, as always and forever, is being cut the black girls a check. Because girl, please.
What? Girl, please.
Because
Okay.
girl, please.
Okay. So y'all, I know we've been away, right? But we are back and better than ever, honey. We have a new Instagram handle to look out for. We got an email, babes. Y'all can DM us. Y'all can email us. And listen, we're here to share all things, like we said, fashion, beauty, entertainment, and just all about cutting the black girls a check. So make sure that you guys tune in each and every Tuesday, because we'll have a new show for you. We'll have content throughout the week, and we are y'all girls. Okay, so we're here. So let's get into what we'll be talking about this week, my friend TT.
Okay, well, just, hit me out. Tell me what we got going on.
So I don't know if you guys read, but this week I read an article by BOF, and it was basically talking about the widening gap between creators and influencers.
Okay.
And so it was interesting to me because it basically talked about influencers and creators sometimes don't like to consider themselves an influencer or a creator. And because this is my background and this is what I do every day, there is a difference, right? And there should be a clear delineation between the two. However, I do think that in recent times, everyone kind of thinks they're an influencer, right? Or everyone thinks that they're a creator, everyone thinks they're talent. But let's break it down.
Yeah, please tell me what the difference between creator and influencer is exactly.
Yes.
I did, did my homework, so I'm ready for this conversation, girl.
Oh, okay. Pop quiz at the end. I like it.
Okay.
So let's start with a creator, right?
Okay.
So a content creator is just that. They create content. Of course, they might have a following, which is great, but at the bare basis of it, they create content, and they create it well, and they create it on behalf of brands, themselves, etc.
Right.
So a lot of times you'll see, creators also double sometimes as social media managers, because they just know how to create content. Now, I guess there's a fine line between a content creator being an influencer, but at the end of the day, an influencer is someone that influences things, right? They don't necessarily have to be a content creator because they're creating content on behalf of themselves. And it just so happens to be aesthetically pleasing, most likely to the masses. And so they have the ability to influence, right? Because we consider now Kim Kardashian is obviously a celebrity, right? But we wouldn't.
I don't know who that is.
But listen, for the purpose of trying to explain it in an easy way, Kim Kardashian would be considered a celebrity and not necessarily a content creator. Even though she creates content, she's a celebrity and to some extent an influencer, because obviously she influences whoever she influences to purchase different products. So I think, when we're talking about the widening gap between the two, it's interesting to me because I don't think it has to be a gap, one. And I don't think that, people should shy away from calling themselves an influencer. It's okay. Like if you have a little influence, if you, make the girls run out and spend their checks on something, hey, so be it. I think that the bigger issue is the widening gap between influencers and content creators of color and others. And that's what we really should be talking about, is the pay gap between the two and how Black influencers and content creators are definitely paid at lesser rates than their counterparts. That's the real conversation, BOF. Just saying.
Okay, sure. I do think that there's something to be said about these new titles that now exist in the space, right? Because the article definitely did go into the idea of the creator title coming about when men wanted to get into the space,
Mm,
right? And
right.
felt like traditionally influencer kind of was a more feminine term that kind of resulted from, content creators who talked about beauty and fashion and kind of, I guess, the next evolution after the blogger or, the YouTube girls that just constantly recommended things to us. And then it got like kind of a bad rap with being the used car salesman of the internet,
That's
right?
right.
Like this is kind of what the article went into. And while I do agree with you, this is definitely a conversation of a pay gap just across all of the demographics, right? But specifically, like, I feel like it's kind of still unclear what the differences even are to even determine what is owed what.
Well,
Like,
that's what I'm saying when it's like, it's hard, right, to kind of differentiate between the two because a content creator could also double as an influencer because they are able to influence. And that's at the bare basis of it is what those OG influencers were, those socialites were prior to having these titles. They were able to make things go, and they were able to push product in a way that at one point was organic. Then we got into paid partnerships and all these different things and it
yeah,
kind of took the what's the word, the organic I guessness out of it, and so now it's kind of like does that really work or are they just getting paid to say it works, so it's
yeah,
it's an interesting dynamic, and it's funny. I just talked about this on a live. How not Instagram, excuse me, how influencer world and creator world has evolved, and even our roles within the influencer marketing, creator marketing space has evolved as well because it obviously has to shift with the times, but it's much different than when I first started or even when I was in college and we were just looking at case studies,
yeah.
trying to figure out what is this and how is it going to, evolve. And now here we are and we have creators doubling as influencers or influencers now being the new celebrity, quote unquote. It's like in
Well, and then the celebrities
yeah,
wanting to be influencers, even
right.
though I guess celebrity always was.
Yeah, exactly. But see, you wouldn't call it that, right? Because they were celebrities and you just kind of knew, like, of course, celebrities have influence. But now it's like no clear differentiation. And I think that's where it gets a little sticky. And, and it's so funny that men don't want to call themselves influencers. And I'm just like, this is gender non-conforming.
That that's kind of like the origin point, right? And then
Right.
now they're kind of, I mean, when men realized that they're not Mr. Beast, they
Right.
are actually more like, I don't know who an influencer is. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not demographic.
And that's okay. That is
Like,
yeah.
I definitely will look to an expert opinion, but I'm always looking for that to actually be an expert, which kind of expands this
Right.
conversation. Like, of course, the experts have now gotten into the brand ambassadorship influencer space. Like, and typically where you would see me looking for this type of person would be skincare, right? Like, for example,
Mhm.
skincare or makeup. So I would look for dermatologists who
Right.
just happens to be kind of doing some influencing. I don't even know if I want to really say that about them because they are actually they
Experts.
should be recommending things that they actually use in their practice and they actually believe in and they actually have experience with, right? Like they aren't just testing out a thing and talking to you about their experience with it and hoping it all goes well. Like these are doctors. You know
Right.
what I mean? So they should be paid as doctors are paid.
Absolutely. It's just it's so many layers that it's almost hard to even just break it down in a few minutes. But I do think,
Yeah.
it's interesting and I'm glad that BOF started this conversation because it's a
Yeah.
good one to have. Because again, it's like now everyone could be considered an influencer, but maybe they're not. And maybe they shouldn't be. To
Yeah.
your point, if you don't have expertise in, let's say, something like skincare, you really shouldn't be telling folks like, oh, so I think it's a fine line. It's a
Yeah.
fine line. It's okay to say, hey, I like this product. But as
Yeah.
a person who has contracted, content creators and influencers for beauty and skincare
Yeah, they should
brands.
know what they're talking about.
You have to be able to put that caveat out that, listen, not necessarily an expert in this field. I
But I
just
think
use
that
this
the I think too, like the audience is pretty much aware of that at this point, right?
now,
Like,
now,
well,
right?
right
But
at this
but
point.
before, no, you had to put that caveat out. You had to literally tell them, like, don't make it seem like this way and it's not, right? Like, this is where the brief
Yeah,
comes.
but I think, just even with that, the audience has gotten more savvy
Yeah,
because when these, individuals partner with these brands and, give their marketing spiel, like we still have to sift through what's being said because the poor
right.
creator is just
Yeah, they
doing
get
what they
paid.
need to do to get the
Right.
check, right? But
Exactly.
we're like genuinely looking for information. So I just kind of think it just makes everything even harder. And while they may, be coming from an authentic place, they still can only speak to their own experiences. And even with experts, right? There's only so much that they can tell you without a face to face personal situation. So I think more so than anything, first and foremost, there needs to be a standard of regulation.
Of
There
course.
needs to be a set expectation of what you are to be getting from these people when it comes to influencers. And I
Well,
mean,
that's
I
where
don't
the
necessarily,
FTC comes in.
I mean, child, what are you? Hello. But also too, like the difference between influencer and creator, content creator, to me, that's less important because I mean, if you're just watching somebody that you just like what they do, like for example, I think I'm more into content creators. There's like this content creator who shall remain nameless at this point.
Good.
But the girls that know. And this specific individual talks about their life and what they got going on and, the art that they create. And that is entertaining to me, the personality. They aren't selling anything other than whatever their creative output is. I don't even think they do much influencing, to be honest. This is probably the most organic, authentic individual I've ever come across. And it's so highly hilarious.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would call this person the artist of their chosen medium first and foremost. But if anything, a content creator. For sure.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, it really it comes down to the paid partnership situation. Like, are you getting paid to quote unquote influence, or are you not? Or are you just creating content on behalf of brands for them to utilize? And we can get into UGC, but it's like it's so many different layers to it that it's almost hard to break down. I think it's great that they're starting the conversation, but like I said earlier, the bigger conversation that folks like to shy away from is the pay gap. Besides the pay gap is the gap that you see on these influencer lists of people of color and their counterparts. Those are the gaps. That's what's important to me. And I think that it should be important, to everyone. Great conversation starter. Kudos to BOF for starting it. But like,
Yeah.
let's move beyond they're considered a content creator, they're considered influencer, this is a celebrity talent. Like, no, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Okay.
Yeah. I
What are
just think
folks getting paid? Who's on your influencer list? Who's on your PR list? Who's showing up to the events? Who's getting the packages? Like, let's talk about that. That's
yeah, I do think though it becomes an even harder conversation when it just comes down to the general public, right? Because I just don't think that they
don't
care.
they don't
Care. They just want to know, are you talking about what I'm talking about? Are you my shade? Are you my size?
okay.
Did it fit you, girl? What's tea?
Yeah.
I hope you got your check. But ma'am, does the skirt fit?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
So,
that would be an interesting poll to do. Like,
we
do
should do
people even
one.
pay attention? Yeah, like people do you pay attention? Like, who's your favorite creators or
Put
influencers?
down in the comments, friends. Tell us
Yes,
what's going
tell
on.
us.
We're
Slide
gonna
into
start
DM.
doing polls for y'all and getting y'all all engaged in the conversation because at the end of the day, we're here for you. We want to know what you think. We want to talk
Exactly.
about what you're talking about. Like, tell us what you think.
For sure. Yeah, so I think, that's an ongoing topic, right? And we could go on all day. But we have the things to talk about in this show, okay?
We
So, girl,
do.
tell me what's up, honey. I want to hear from you.
Okay, well, on my side of things, I
Yeah.
came across this article by a content creator. No, I'm just kidding. He's actually a journalist. He's actually a journalist and an independent media site who I've been following for years. It's called
Mhm.
Style Site Guys. The girls are not informed. Please go read Eugene because Eugene did give you all the tea,
All
and
of
he's
it.
not paid off, and he knows exactly what he's talking about.
Okay.
And we love a good expert. Shout
Well,
out to Eugene. But basically, he had an article in his most recent newsletter talking about the blanding of brands, right? Like we started to see how just specifically ads, they all look the same. They're so uninspired. They're just uninteresting. And it's just like, what are you even selling me at this point? You
right.
all put out the same mediocre items and you still want to charge me $900 for a sweatshirt. Like, I just need to know, like, what is the story? Are y'all even caring about what the story is behind the brand anymore? Like, we should really talk about that. But basically, there's just two things that the brands care about at this point. It's selling to the widest subset of the population as possible because that's the only place of growth. And two, fear of ruffling feathers. You know how we're in this very divisive political climate. People don't want to
Yes.
get canceled. They don't want any backlash. They don't want to offend anybody with the Zolas.
Mhm.
So essentially, the ads have become completely formulaic. They're not allowing the art directors to be creative because, you know, the big wigs feel like creativity is unprofitable. So it's literally they about to slap whatever that woman's name was that Deja mentioned earlier. They gonna put a logo on in front of her and they gonna give her a bag and tell her go snap, say cheese. Like that's what we're getting.
Yeah.
And it's so disheartening to people like me because
Yeah.
obviously I make pictures for a living, right? Like I love pictures. I love the heritage and you know the legacy of these big name brands and hopes of emerging brands to come forward and be able to tell their story in that way, right? And just dream and aspire. You remember reading magazines and just, you know, the article mentioned like Michael Kors ads, but like Tom Ford ads, Versace ads, like you knew what type of girl you was when you bought that.
I feel like from an advertising standpoint, I don't know if the right, and maybe they are, but maybe it's just not the right strategy folks in the room. Maybe it's not the right creatives in the room. And I also think too, like, people now need easy things to digest. Like just in general. Like I just
Yeah.
feel like the kids, you know, everybody's attention span is like that. And so I don't know. I do feel like it's definitely the creativity is lacking, the story is lacking, you know,
Yeah.
from on the storytelling side. It's like,
Yeah.
where's the meat, babes? Like I
Yep.
need something more. I don't know. And it's so funny and I'm sure we'll show this on the screen, but like that Balenciaga ad, what was it? What was that?
So we'll move on from that.
No, no.
But I just no, but honestly, like, yeah, you know, the attention span is shot at this point. But as we were talking about in our last segment, there's still, you know, a hunger for content in a story. Like that's what content
And
creators
beautiful
provide
content.
and
Like
do, but
where's the beauty?
entertaining or interesting in some way.
Exactly.
Like don't take all the same five people that y'all have deemed popular, successful, and important and spread them thin across everything life has to offer for us. Like you talked about the strategy and the people in the room, right? And what's actually happening is the art directors are actually being muted and pushed out for younger, more
Yeah.
underdeveloped talent. Like let's just be honest. The
Right.
creative directors that you know, are the quietest, get the jobs, least pushback. Like, this is what we want. Like, greed. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, greed is just the real story that's unfolding here.
And
Like,
then I think to take it to another side, especially coming from having worked in at agencies, right?
yeah.
It's greed, but it's also a layer of cheap that's there
Well,
as well.
yeah, the cheap
And
is a byproduct of the greed, right? Because the less we spend on this, the more we can pocket.
Mhm.
We have the
Okay.
money,
So then it goes
but
hand in hand.
if we don't need to spend it, why would we?
Right.
And let's look for every way possible. My former career, accounting, like one of my biggest jobs was let's figure out the least amount of money possible we could spend on this thing, whether that's labor,
Mhm.
resource, any sort of capital, right? Like
Right.
we do not want to spend money because the shareholders want to pocket it. Like
Mhm.
that's just what it is. The concept of the meta good, which is essentially the branding, the story behind the
Yeah.
brand that sold the goods. Like you knew what time it was with a Michael Kors ad. You knew what time it was with Ford's, Gucci, Versace, just anybody. You knew what it was. And that's what you went out to buy, even though you went back to your apartment indicator. You know what I mean? But it's just true. Like, and now what is it that we buy? Just the same sweatshirt that Balmain had. You probably get it a little cheaper at Balenciaga with a different logo, stuff a little, what
Right.
are we getting? What are we doing? What's happening?
Questions that need answers. Literally. I really wish we could go behind the scenes and go and talk to these folks. Maybe that's, in the future, in the work.
Soon come. Like we can do that. That's
We
what we
sure can. Yes,
do.
yes, yes.
No, but I know what you mean. Like really be
Yeah, like I really want to hear the conversation as someone who has been in the, strategy meetings and have
yeah,
had to ideate and
yeah,
sit with the client and, go through all the things. It just like behooves me. Like how are some brands doing it, well, and then
yeah,
others, and especially in the luxury sense, not doing it so well.
yeah.
It's interesting to me to understand what's the strategy. And I think a lot of times folks don't have a strategy.
Well, you know what the
They just
strategy is.
go in there and do whatever.
The strategy is literally sell as much of this as possible.
Yeah.
Whoever's selling something well, let's make one too and produce it cheaply and sell it everywhere to everybody. That's the strategy.
And it's unfortunate because in my opinion, I feel like if the creative is better, it would sell still, it would
But
sell
most
more.
importantly, the audience is craving the story. Like they want
Right.
that. Like figure out how to adapt to the way that content is made now, but make it interesting. We see all the time. That's why I just don't believe in, like, I literally don't believe in, oh, well, people's attention spans are too short now. Sure. But we literally just watched, what was it, 8, 9 hours of Arisa Tisa?
Oh my God, please.
Like I just couldn't stop watching
I
that.
love Risa. I'm so glad she's
I don't
getting.
even know what she's doing now, but that
Wait.
moment that she had, I literally could see y'all are TikTok girls. I'm still a YouTube girl. So when y'all was finished TikToking, the YouTubers got to stitch in the compilations together, and it literally took me 2 days
Oh
to finish all them
yes.
clips.
Girl, yeah, it was more than that. Cause I was watching it as she was doing it in
Well,
real.
exactly, but I'm saying I
So
know
no,
I
I
like
know, but
I
I'm
had
saying just
it was like
imagine,
4-hour videos, and I'm just
girl,
like, oh my god, what did Legend do? Look,
lie to legend. Lion legend, listen.
Legion, whatever, girl. Like, what did he
Legion, legend,
do?
Legion, whatever it
Can't
was.
believe it. So,
But anyway,
yeah.
yes. But no, I agree. But you know what's interesting with that? With the attention span, a lot of the girls that were doing overviews on TikTok, a lot of the feedback, and Risa even said this, that she saw in the comments, people saying like, oh, I had to fast forward it. This lady is telling a story. Like,
But see, I
you
think
gotta
that there's just
listen.
only so much you can account for when you're creating something, right?
Yeah.
Because while there were the people that had to fast forward, I mean, if you think back in time, there were always the
Well,
people
not
that had
even
to
fast
fast
forward,
forward.
they were speeding up the audio. So it's
Do
like,
what you need to do. What
girl,
so I give
the
you a
lady
thing.
telling a story.
But what I'm saying is because there's so many options out there and people have been indoctrinated and, ingrained in certain ways, we put the thing out and they do what they need to do with the
Yeah,
thing.
however you digest the content is how you digest it.
Yeah, so the brands don't need to be involved with, because see, now I don't trust that, because now you got to be in every little inch of my mind trying to figure out exactly what I'm going to do. Y'all want robots, which is why I'm not with the AI. Y'all love AI and you can do what you
And do.
want with that, but and don't, okay? Because what's going to happen is they're going to be doing your ads,
Yes.
okay? So please. But Moral of the story, save the artist and cut the black girls a check. Because I'm
honestly.
sure we're owed money on that too.
And that's my point of who's in the room. Because even with some of the advertisements that are geared towards us, we're not the ones in decision making positions or the strategist or the project manager or the account manager and all these other people that it takes from the agency side to bring these things to life.
Yeah. I mean, and it goes back to my point. We just need to pull back our resources and create and do our own things because we can beat that horse dead 60 million times. But if we're not the owners and creators and the top dollar, they don't care
At all.
They
No.
don't care. And we'll kind of get into that later in the segment. But I think we need to be a little lighthearted in this moment because we're getting a little heated, friend. We're getting a little heated.
They like listen, what Beyonce say? Heated. Look, don't pull the fan out. Wish I had mine. Oh, 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 oh.
Just a
She
little
didn't
fan.
tell me that she was gonna bring her fan. We home friends.
Just a little fan.
Child. It's like, oh, I always got a fan. All kind of fans. How she come up here with her fan?
Not even telling everybody about my fan before I pull out my fan. Ooh.
Whatever. Well, girl, what's next thing? Because I'm ready to get into the girl please of the week. Okay.
Okay, but right before we do that, I just want to ask you a question. Have you been seeing something?
Yes, honey. This is looking good.
What's different?
Eyebrows. The
Is
eyebrows
it the
are different.
eyebrows?
Yeah, they're
Do
doing.
you think it's the
Well,
eyebrows?
first of all, it's a lot of things, but they're doing the eyebrows differently.
Because the girls are saying she got some enhancements in the facial region.
Mhm.
That ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't know. But she is shape shifting and doing some things. Like she's giving you Serena, she's giving you Sabrina and Jackie Ina and everybody in between. And that's in the best way possible because I was like, is that Jackie Ina at Essence Fest? Which she probably was there, but no, it was Serena Williams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think I like this revamped version.
So I've only seen a couple of things that really just intrigued me because, like, I see Serena, I see what she's doing, we see each other, but that Ferragamo on the ESPY's red carpet, that maroon burgundy number.
Well, I always love a good maroon on us, a good
It's
burgundy
true. And she
red.
ate that one up. She ate that one up.
Telling you,
Shout out to Keisha McLeod. Keisha really did her thing.
Yes, she looks
But
great.
to your point about the eyebrows, I do think that
Eyebrows really make your face.
I think Chica's just beating the girl down in the
Yes.
best way because
They're doing it in a different, it's of the time, right? Because everyone's doing their eyebrows like that, and I think it's helping her to, look
it's giving her
even.
a little.
It's giving her a different look, and it's also keeping her fashion forward and on trend, and all the things. So
For even the moments where and there's still some hills to climb, but there's progression,
and we love that, and that's all
that
it matters.
I also didn't really mind the Armani Privé moment with the family on the carpet as well. The kind of the little, that was, that was chic. It really was chic.
Love the chic moments. We live for those.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I just wanted to ask you about that.
Yes. Well, I definitely want us to get into Girl Please because that's what this show is. I mean, so we're going to give you guys our hot takes of the week, right? And I know you all were used to that before we took our little break, but now we're going to give it to you.
But we back with the jump off.
Right, we're back. So we're going to give it to you of all the things that we've been seeing, some from this week, maybe some, from another week, but it's things that we care about and we think y'all would care about too. So,
and also if you all, before we get into it, if you all have things that you would like to get our opinion on, and girl, please hit us up. Please hit us up on our IG. Daisha can tell you about our IG and our email. We're really going to be interacting, girls. Like that's really what it's about to be giving.
Talk to us, okay? Yes.
You want to come and talk to me? Don't
start it now, friend.
Okay, because
okay, hit a note now. But yes, so our Instagram, y'all, is going to be coming out. Okay, so stay tuned, but it'll be at It's Giving Girl Please because that's what it's always giving. And you can find us there. You'll find all of our content, slide in those DMs, comment under all of our posts, and just tell us what you want to see. Because at the end of the day, honey, me and Tiara Kiki all day, but we want to hear from you. Okay. Y'all can join the Kiki if you want,
Yeah.
So yes, so we are gonna get into Girl Please.
Yes.
And TT girl is gonna kick us off.
Okay, so our first girl please of the week. Actually, I have a little bit of a girl yet.
Yeah, come on.
Have you been seeing Zoe Kravitz, girl?
I'm a Zoe stan, ma'am.
I have been loving Zoe in these Saint Laurent images.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
remember that meme? I'll find it later. But anyways, so I guess Saint Laurent has a book coming out, and she is Anthony Vaccarello's muse, and
Yep.
she is just so stunning, so
Oh my God.
sensual,
Yes.
just a neat little tiny little. You just want to put her in your pocket. She's so cute, but also like sexy.
No, yeah, she's all of that. I love it. I love it. It just exudes sensuality.
Can't wait for this book.
Me too.
I think I'm really gonna get the book.
Yeah, so that's your girl, yes.
That's my girl, yes. Girl, yes, Zoe.
Yes. Love it.
And then so Complex to talk to us a little bit about the WNBA tunnel and how it's giving fashion runway these days. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the WNBA and the girls and their styles?
First of all, I love the girls. I think I am very much so not a sports girl,
I was
right?
gonna say, like, is this really making you want to keep up with the WNBA now?
But you know what? You know what's funny? I enjoy going to games, and it's probably because I like the social aspect of it.
Yeah.
I've always liked going to football games and basketball games. I've never been to a WNBA game. This definitely makes me want to go. And not just for the fashion, but just because girls is falling out. Okay.
Yeah.
So I definitely love that aspect of it. I love, though, one, that it's getting a spotlight. I think that it's about darn time, number one,
Sure.
but the girls are eating it up. And whether, their style is, truly fashionable or not, I think that it just gives them
for that.
Yeah, and it's like it gives them the outlet, right? To express themselves, the creativity, to show their styles, to highlight maybe some stylists that are up and coming that we don't know. I'm enjoying it because to me it feels like it's a lot of their personalities coming through, and it doesn't just feel like, oh, I'm just getting dressed for the tunnel. It's like, no, I'm giving y'all a moment.
It's opening the door, and I feel like it's putting them on equal footing with the men.
Exactly.
And that's overdue. Like, this is giving them more opportunities to make the money and pay the girls with their work, cut the Black girls the checks.
Yes.
Like, I feel like this is opening the door to endless possibility. Like, there's a lot of interesting personalities out there. I mean, Angel Reese, my girl. Yeah. My little cousin loves her. Like, he's obsessed.
That's my girl. I love her. And I cannot pronounce her name. But is it Kiers?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. We'll throw up a picture at some point. But yeah, she
just obsessed with Miss Mamas. Like, can we throw her on a runway, please? Because baby girl is just everything to me. I mean, wow. Just stunning. I love her. And then I love a good switch up. They're giving us fashion, and then they going out on that court and they are eating the girls up. It's so crazy.
What did Angel Reese say today? And who are we throwing shade at because of it?
Come on. And I
what she did, girl.
Even what's her name? Flau'jae. Like, I
just heard a song by her with Lil Wayne.
But do you see? Like, they're crossing over in all of these different lanes. I just love it, and I love being able to see their personalities shine through. I love being able to see them just continue to grow as players and now personalities and shifting into fashion partnerships.
Shaq can do it. Damian Lillard did it.
Come on, Shaq. Yes.
Girl, no, not my daddy had Shaq's album when I was growing up. Okay,
Shaq is DJing these days, babes.
Well, and
come on,
but he used to rap.
Okay. I'm here.
But I'm here for it. And it's funny because I have a homeboy who's like super into sports, and I'm into sports too, but unfortunately I just never really gave the WNBA what they deserve.
And I think
I just didn't. But I definitely love seeing the headlines. I love seeing the press, and I'm super supportive. And a little try to go to some games, girl. I'm gonna see what's going on. I might give me a little client too.
Listen, and let me tell you, I love me some Miss Ellie the elephant. Okay.
Okay, tell me more about
In New
Ellie.
York. What's the team in New York? I can't think of their name right now.
Oh,
But
don't get me lying.
she's the mascot for the
Oh, now see, now we talking about mess. Okay.
Yeah, but you haven't seen Miss Ellie. You love her.
That's in my house.
Honey, Miss Ellie, all the rage on TikTok, number one.
Oh, you know I don't be on the TikTok.
But please go look her up. She the best mascot they got out here. She is funny eating the girls up. She be having her hoops in, her Telfar bag. Come on.
Come on, Telfie. Y'all ain't gonna rest till y'all get me on the TikTok. Okay, all right, okay. Moving on.
Yes.
Let's stay in the realm of sports.
Let's do it.
And we're gonna tap the BOF one more time. Did you see that they were talking about how the up and coming athletes are foregoing Nike and Adidas for independent brands?
Yes. And so this honestly kind of goes back to what we opened the show with about, influencers, content creators, all the things and, the pay inequities that we see. I'm here for that.
Yes.
Stand up and get the money you deserve. Okay. I am so glad that they're taking that power back. I love it.
Yeah.
I love that.
So that's an extra girl, yes. Period. I love to see it. And I read that, so there is Isaac Okoro, the 23-year-old basketball player for Cavaliers. He just signed a sneaker deal with, what is it called? Polo Sneakers.
Yep.
And this was a brand partnership brokered by Lil Wayne's sports agency. I mean, just the synergies is...
I love it.
Synergizing.
And I just love that. And also, like we just said, like it gives emerging designers and stylists the opportunity to be showcased and highlighted. And so again, even with him, the reason why he did that deal was because they put in the contract that he would be able to do his own signature style and sneaker down the line. People
and he need equity to sign the deal, like little baby said.
And people want to have the ownership, right? They want to be able to say, this is mine. They don't want to just be the face anymore. They don't want you to make millions and they just get their 400,000.
And not for nothing. I mean, that's kind of the goal and the way that Jordan paved for everybody. Because that's what happened with Nike, with him and his Jordan brand. He got it.
Okay. Exactly. And there it is.
And, Nike and Adidas, hey, listen up.
Listen.
Like, y'all done made a lot of money off these folks, and we see that stock tumbling. When you come back over here, because they always do. They need equity to sign a deal.
Equity. People want ownership.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is.
Yeah.
So, yes to him.
Triple
and to the players taking their power back. Y'all go.
And shout out to the light shown on the new brands, because I was in the market for sneakers. Like, what whole low footwear got going on?
Okay, because I checked it out. But shout out to them. And if y'all need someone to help you negotiate these deals, come see your girl, because I'm always here for that.
And if you need somebody to style the campaign,
there it is.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, moving on. So we're still in sports. We're giving sport. Are we sports girls? I mean, I'm the resident sports girl, but I just haven't, but I'm doing my thing. So anyways, Lewis Hamilton, for those that don't know, he's the Formula One racer.
I love it.
He has just started he has a guest designer spot at Dior. And this is inspired by Africa and sustainability. And what do you think?
Enjoy this. That there's an area for things of this nature, for folks that aren't from traditional backgrounds to come in and share their viewpoints. I'm excited to see it. He's very fashionable himself. He's very stylish. I'm very much so interested to see how this, comes to life.
And let's make clear, this is a ski wear capsule.
Yes, which also is interesting, which I love that though, right? Because when we talk about the elements of Africa being incorporated into the design.
Is there skiing?
I know, but that's why I'm saying it's like, I'm not sure. And maybe we'll learn about that. Like maybe there is something that we don't know about that he is
this enticing you to go and buy your man a short set.
Next girl, please.
Okay, sure. All right. So, Miss Robin Rihanna Fenty is bringing back her Fenty Puma Creeper, the fatty. And she's giving proper schoolgirl in the campaign. What do you think?
Well, I stand anything that Rihanna does.
Mm-hmm.
I actually love these visuals, and yeah, I'm here for it all. I personally, though, even when the fatties and the creepers first came out,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a pair.
Okay.
It
Are
went
you gonna get one?
potentially, maybe. Y'all. I was never really a sneaker girl until I moved to New York, and I was like, "Oh, babes, you can't wear these heels down these streets, okay? You're not Carrie Bradshaw, okay?" So I started
Nobody's Carrie
exploring.
Bradshaw, by the way. Don't even get me
Well,
started. Okay.
please, I know how
Go
you.
ahead. Okay.
All right. So, but to that point, it was just like, now let me explore this sneaker side to me,
Right.
And so I think one, I do like chunky sneakers. I do because she's
Yeah.
short. Okay. She likes a little platform.
Yeah.
But I just gotta, I gotta feel the vibes out. I want to see it in person. I want to try it on. Like I said, I stand the things that she does, but I'm not so much of a stand to where it's like, oh, because Rihanna did it, I have to buy it. Like, no, like
Yeah.
the Fenty hair. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
we didn't really talk about that.
I'm not sure I'm gonna be a customer. It's just
Yeah.
I gotta fill out the vibes, babe.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm not. The only thing that I want to talk about is Fenty music. Okay? I'm
Well,
that girl.
my friend that just
I don't
might.
care. I don't care. I don't care. I'm that girl. So until it's a little vocal on a track, it's a girl.
I think you're gonna be waiting, but okay.
I've been
Waiting even more.
You ain't gonna satiate me with shampoos and socks.
I'm just calling it how I see it.
Okay, so I think we're differing on opinion here. Let's ask the girls what they think. Are
Girls,
y'all here? Like, what? Just tell us what you're thinking. Just period. Like, are you buying into the Fenty skin and the makeup and the hair care and what do we have now? Didn't her baby just come out with a line of something or took some pictures? Whatever's going on, are y'all feeling that, or do you just want a CD? Let us know.
Let us know.
Okay, so
I'm
that's just a girl.
Yeah, that's a girl. On the scale of girl to girl, please. It's just a yeah.
It's a girl.
It's a girl.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right, so let's kind of get into some of these mergers and acquisitions that we got going on.
There's a lot of things happening.
Saks buys Neiman Marcus with a little help from Amazon, and I just discovered today also Salesforce.
Okay.
For $2.65 billion. They done took over Neiman Marcus to boost luxury, and they're leaning on Amazon for the logistics and Salesforce as well. What are you thinking about that?
I'm shaking my head because I'm thinking.
Because all the brands are still still.
Yeah. And I think, I get it, right? Like, I get the idea of bringing Amazon in because obviously what they've been able to do and create in the tech retail world has been phenomenal. Just questioning how does it all go together? Like in a sense of like when we think of luxury and it's almost like maybe they won't have anything to do with the actual retail portion of it. It'll just be like the tech and the logistics, the things
that's kind of the thinking right now. That's the thinking right now. And then, each store's respective brand is supposed to stay the same. They just feel like two heads are better than one at this point in this very bleak luxury market. We see all of the foldings happening. This is affecting, I'm sure, your side of work along with mine as a personal stylist who needs to rely on these big stores to kind of satiate a couple of, different people. So yeah, they're just trying to pull their resources together. Amazon got that old long check.
Absolutely.
But they also have along with Salesforce, they really have that logistical back end piece down pat. And I just foresee same day Versace or something.
Now, yes. But on Amazon already, on Amazon Fashion, they have a luxury.
They do. I think this will legitimize that because I still think girls are a little skeptical.
Yeah, I haven't touched that, but I have, I've seen it. I've played around with it. I have friends that work at Amazon, so
yes,
I've heard about it. I do think that maybe that was when they were negotiating this or coming up with, the contract. that probably is in it, to also help, like you said, legitimize their luxury fashion business, and then to bring
Yeah.
over their expertise and productivity and all the things. So I mean, I'm interested to see how it
Yeah.
goes.
And
Yeah.
you know how we've experienced, after the panoramic, just kind of the bottlenecks on shipping
Yeah.
and just all kinds of backups from all different kind of places. And just honestly, the streets are bleak. Like I
Yeah.
feel like whatever's left of these brands, put your pieces together and kind of see what you can recreate, because the current luxury model it's failed.
Right.
I
And
don't even we can't
honestly,
even say failing. It has failed.
right. Honestly, I think as we think to the future of luxury and just like corporations and brands, I see more of these happening. I
Oh,
see
yeah, people
brands
are
tapping
going
on,
bankrupt.
their counterparts, or you do this well, I do this well, let's merge. And, kudos to them for recognizing that early before they had to close, or, something happened. I mean, I'm a fan of Saks, right? And I just think that, it's two heads, like you said, are better than one, but I would have hated for it to kind of die, without them trying to figure out, and Neiman's too, like figure out what's the best resolve here and how can we, pull our resources
It's
together.
interesting that they all can merge, but, like, Tapestry and Capri can't.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Do you think it's because maybe Tapestry is a
I mean, it's not like so is Saks and Neiman Marcus and all the I mean, Saks has Bergdorf's,
true? That's true.
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
they all are.
Yeah, that is true.
Um,
Yeah, I wonder what the
but I wonder if there's maybe, like, a threshold on of how many brands can be involved, because
mm,
obviously Tapestry
mm,
has a
tax,
slew of
but
brands and so
yeah,
does Capri, so I don't know. I mean, I don't know what that looks like, and,
it's interesting.
that's above my
Another one I would want to be in the room to hear the discussion.
Yeah, for sure. I would really love to. And for all the girls out there who are really on their stock market thing, pay attention.
Okay, because I might need it.
Oh, so you want me to go over there?
Okay.
So speaking of mergers, along
Yeah.
that vein, Luxottica has
Mhm.
just purchased Supreme from
Which is so. I think I want to hear your opinion first.
it's just I'll say this. It's very I don't care about Supreme. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I guess it still has its place. I feel like it's
Yeah,
just
I'm over it. That's
It's
that's
just
what's
interesting.
yeah.
Because if we remember, I don't know if we did cover this in Girl Please when we were talking about how Tremaine
Ugh,
Emery from
listen.
Denim Tears fame, if you guys are unfamiliar, but he infamously called Supreme the racist after he kind of was unceremoniously parted of ways, we'll say, and he hasn't been replaced since, and that's just a whole debacle within itself that I just do not even care to recount, because
Right.
it's a girl please.
A big girl, please. Okay. For me.
So this is for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
And same. Okay.
Moving on.
Okay.
And last but certainly not least, we can just kind of touch on the several companies that have quietly, consciously uncoupled the.
Goodness.
I know
Ugh.
you have thoughts, sister.
I always have thoughts on this subject. It's funny because I talk about this often at work and just in general.
Yeah.
And it's just so interesting to me. Like I was reading today about some brands and like Tractor Supply and like
Yeah.
all these and some other brands, have blatantly taken the language out of, their reports
And
and
rename their departments.
right, renaming departments and have let go of these different diversity officers. And like, it's like,
Who
what?
overwhelmingly are Black women and women of color.
Right. But it's
Women
also,
too.
but to me, right? Because when we talk about DEI, and I cannot stress this enough, and I say this every day at work, it's not just about Black and brown folks. We're talking about minority communities in general. So that means LGBTQIA plus individuals. That means disabled individuals. That means people of color, so when we eliminate these departments, it almost feels like you're eliminating these groups and these communities out of your brand. But I think people get so focused and fixated on it just being a Black thing. Like DEI is not just a Black thing.
Well, I will say that I do think, yes, unfortunately, it does overwhelmingly just get pegged as a Black thing. But I do think that these are groups that some of these big wigs who, lean how they lean and make these decisions do want to kind of move away from, and
They
not
do.
just Black people. Their argument is they don't see doing that work proves beneficial to the business needs,
Exactly.
because there
Well,
have been holes in the argument of diversity promoting more profits.
right. And that's what I was going to say. That goes back to your point earlier about it comes down to money and greed. And it's
Yeah. Oh,
unfortunate.
and it specifically goes to my point about these brands being in fear of controversy.
Right. Exactly. And it's just unfortunate because one, we hold a lot of spending power as Black people. So to say that, it doesn't turn a profit or you don't see, the KPIs from it is ridiculous. You
Yeah.
all just do not want to focus on it. It's just not an area of interest. You don't care.
They
Just
don't
you
care.
don't care, honey. You don't
They
care.
don't
You
care.
never
And they're
did.
not being shy about making that known either. I mean, let's
Yeah.
be honest.
Yeah.
We've kind of seen what's our woman's name who just went up against that conservative activist group who dismantled her venture
Yeah, from the Fearless Fund.
capital, the Fearless Fund.
Mhm,
Exactly.
mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they are unapologetic about it. They are not going gently into that good night, baby. They
Yeah.
burning it all down, and they don't care.
Yeah, I went to the Forbes BLK summit maybe a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
and the Fearless Fund was one of the speakers on the panel along
Yeah.
with some other folks as well. And it just I mean the panel of course is so important and I really enjoyed the conversation, but what one of the speakers said that really resonated with me and I think is important for everyone to understand is that she mentioned, again, it doesn't just affect Black people, but it affects middle America, those that live in
Yeah.
these rural areas that don't have all of the same resources that maybe, us who live in Atlanta have. So when they make it a Black thing, it's really more harmful to them,
But see, you're
because,
gonna have to get them to realize that, because they
and
don't
that's what she was
align and
saying.
think that way.
And that's what she was saying. Once they can comprehend, right, and they can understand, it doesn't just affect Black people.
Yeah.
Like it affects a lot of groups and subgroups and things of that
Yeah.
nature, then maybe the tide will turn. But
Yeah. As with most things, the
but why does it
political.
take them understanding that it affects their fellow whites
Well, that's what
for
I was
them
gonna say. Like,
to, it's like, come on, be for real.
yeah, as with anything.
Basic human rights, basic human,
Ooh,
just,
y'all done got her started now. Y'all done got her
I'm
started.
just saying.
But saying is, as with anything, the political rhetoric of it all really dilutes the purpose and the message of these things. And at the end
Yeah.
of the day, as somebody who did actually work in a DEI capacity in my former place of employment, I just think that there are a lot of areas for improvement across the
Absolutely.
board. I think that there has to be a standardized, universal purpose accepted. And, we have to get like these personal agendas out of the way and
Right.
just be real about how this is affecting the country, to your point. Like, we would
Yeah.
not have a need for a specific department dedicated to DEI if there was equity and equality across the
Throughout.
board. And
Exactly.
once we can get away from being so divisive, now you done got me on a soapbox, but it's true. Like, once we can get away from those distractions, we can start to fix the holes and the leaks and the cracks in the system. But the issue is the system heads keep on getting more and more top heavy and holding the lever, and they ultimately make the decisions, and they have systems in place that work for them to keep them there. So what happens is, at some point, people gonna be having to be real about what needs to be burnt down and created anew.
And that's just really what it is. Burn it all down and start again.
Yeah, and honestly, diasporically, friends, I'm talking to us. Okay, we need to start coming together for real and figuring out how we can do what needs to be done for
Mhm.
ourselves. Because what I know is, the census and every other business-minded individual is looking at 20, 30 years ahead. And I know that Africa is a very young continent.
Mhm.
And we need to start making friends with our friends.
Okay. I'm down for that. Always.
Anyways, that's really all we got. And so for the companies that are wanting to get rid of the DEI, it's a girl. Figure out what set I just bet.
Okay. And that's that. Girl, please.
Just do that.
Girl, please. That's what it is.
Girl, please on TT.
On TT, I'm Luke. Just want to say before we go, friends, that let's continue to support Black designers, Black creatives, Black stylists. I'm wearing K Collective. I'm also wearing Change. I am an advocate for us, and I would love, and Tiara is too, of course, but would love for us all to take the power back, babes. If we're not in the fit, build your own. Like we're at the point where we are too amazing and too powerful to just depend on them to justify us. Like, no.
And let me just add to that. Those people who you see in places where you would expect them to be touting what Daisha just said, you have to accept that we are not their agenda, even though they look like us.
Oh,
okay. So we need to be able to come to terms with that and talk amongst ourselves about that and reprimand that behavior so that we can get ahead. Like we need to stop because y'all be acting like y'all can't have conversations in public, but white people can do. They see it. They are on the same platforms y'all are on. Please, you're doing nothing silently.
Right.
So let's just call it out. Keep it moving, please. Like we're only holding ourselves back, and we're going to continue to have these same gripes, and you're going to see everybody on their platforms having the same conversation, and we're not going to get anywhere because we don't come together and figure out change. So
absolutely.
Just saying.
That's it, and that's all.
Straight like it.
Okay.
Okay, girl. So, like we said, follow us on It's Giving Girl Please on IG. You're going to see us on YouTube. It's Giving Girl Please. And tell them where they can email us, Daisha.
Baby, it's givinggirlplease@gmail.com. Okay.
Yeah. And just let us know what you want to talk about. Ask us some questions. Follow our socials so we can follow up with you about all the things we asked you questions about because we really want to know.
Yes, and I hope you guys are enjoying your summer because it's hot. You deserve a good time, okay?
Yeah.
Go outside. Get some air.
Touch some grass.
Touch some grass.
Are you coming for me?
Oh, no.
Oh.
What?
Oh.
We love y'all. See ya.